Welcome to the Good Enough Guy Crafts with Mr. Shannon. Today we're going to start working on a project for a buddy of mine. He recently got rid of his desktop computer, and the tiny little side table I made for him is not going to work. So we need something a little bigger, a little nicer, so he can put his new laptop on it. So we're going to cut this next board down to 12 inches wide, because that's about as wide as the space we have available. And we're going to build a nice little cabinet out of that. Let's watch the process. Right there, 12 inches. We're gonna lock that in place so it doesn't move. Perfect. It was 16 inches, now we've got 12. Next thing I've got to do is actually glue and attach the next thing I want to do is glue and attach like a frame all around the outside. All right, so what we're going to do, I've already cut out me a 2x3 frame for the back side of this. This is basically going to be my keystone piece for this project. Nope, I've not sanded it or anything. I'm going to glue it down with Titebond 3, and I am going to use my nail gun to hold it together, and that it will give it lots and lots of strength. Now I know my bottle doesn't say Titebond 3, but it's got Titebond 3 in it.
Hey guys, so before we get too deep into this project, I just wanted to share a couple of things. The first thing is, when I set out to build stuff like this, I never have a plan. I just basically have a vision in my head and it slowly comes to fruition. Now that said, this brings me to my next point, is that I am constantly messing up. There are things that I don't take account for in my measurements that I sometimes have to go back and fix. Sometimes I don't account for how things are going to be assembled. And this project is no different. I made a lot of mistakes while I was building this thing. And I did learn a lot of lessons. I just hope that I remember them. So guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. There were points where my camera went out, it overheated, and I didn't notice. I've done the best I could to put this together. And between you and I think this video is going to be good enough.
So there's a slight error with the back. I'm going to have to rig the bottom part first and then fit the two together. So I'm going to have to slice off a part of this on the table saw so I can lock them together, kind of like Legos. So let me build the bottom half. So I'm going to frame out the bottom so that way I'll have a nice sturdy base. Measurement. Measure from there to there. I need 15 1/4 inches. $15 1/4. That's not correct. You see the problem here? Cut that one just a little too short. However, because this is the bottom piece and it's going to be held together by the side panels, I'm not overly concerned. I'll just move that back just a little bit. This will give me the strength that I need. It's not that big of a deal. It is definitely good enough. We won't even notice it later. So let's go ahead and glue this down and nail this together. All right, guys, so I made a whole bunch of mistakes working on this. I've had to trim. I've had to figure out just how I'm going to connect the bottom to the top. So I basically built this overkill base so that way I had a flat edge on the side as well as being able to put this bottom part flush with here. I trimmed this off. I added a brace here. Now these two are going to slide in just like that. And that is going to be my bottom base. So what I'm going to do here is actually use screws to hold this together as well as some wood glue. What a mess. All right, there. It's got the wood glue. Now let me get a couple of screws, drive this in. It's going to give my base strength. Now, let's see how square it is. Probably not very. Holy smokes, that is actually really good. It's ever so slightly sloped that way. Dang, I am so happy with this right now. So flippin' happy. All right. So that's actually better than good enough. Let's go ahead and look at the sides. So these boards are going to go right on here. Love it. Let me open it up. So I'm going to put the sides on to give it the nice box shape, and then I will worry about the shelving after. So that's going to be that side. The other one's going to go there, and then I'll build the top and a shelf in the middle. Maybe I will do the shelf first. I will do the shelf first. It's going to be one beastly piece of furniture. Let's go. Let's go 17 inches from the bottom. $17 inches from the bottom on this one. And draw the line. That's where I'm going to put my shelf. Here we go. You know what? I'll do it after, because I'm not really sure how far the back end's going to come in. Why? So let's see here. This is going to be 3 inches deep. So these are 20 inches wide. So I need to make these 17 inches. So what I've done was, instead of using a clamp from the side that won't fit, I decided to use long pieces that are flexible and use them like a spring clamp to hold it down. The glue will be just fine for our purposes, because later when I add the center shelf, I will probably throw a nail or two in there to hold it together. We'll come back later, probably 24 hours or so, tomorrow after work, and continue this project. Here we are a couple days later. I've been busy. We're going to pop the clamps off, take these apart, and get them ready for assembly. So that's the bottom, that's the top. We're going to take these boards and we're going to book match them. Here we go. I need to cut the top. So let me measure this to make sure it's right. (15 1/8). I need to make sure that the fence is 15 1/8. All right, that looks good. Hopefully it's right or right enough. You know what? This was the short side. I think we're good. So on the top, I wanted to have a lip, but if I mounted this all the way in the back, I also have this. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll just do this. I'll mount my back piece and gotta try something. This is 12 and 1/8. So let me cut this to 12 and 1/8 and see what happens. I need to shape it just a little bit. I'm in the habit of measuring a few times and then cutting it bigger than I need and then cutting it down to the size I want. And that's perfect. Okay. So I do like that, although I think this might be a little high. Now I'm going to flip it upside down. That'll make a square. All right, there we go. Now, if you look, I've put the top on the bottom. We're going to assemble it upside down. First thing I'm going to do is cut a backing piece for this. Okay, so what we're going to do is throw a bunch of glue on that. So I need to take this board and clean it up a little bit. I'm going to run it through the jointer to square that off a little more so it's not so nasty looking. We have a nice square edge here and here that's going to make this look prettier. We're going to put this crummy part in the back side. So we're going to mount this in here to the back. And we're going to do that with glue and nail gun. Let me see, where is this exactly? Hopefully I can pull this off. All right. All right, so now that it is all glued together, nailed together, this is for a buddy. This doesn't have to be perfect, so it will be good enough. I'm going to throw some 220 sandpaper on the sander, and we're just going to give it a once over and get it a little smoother before I apply stain today. Always wear your breather when you're sanding. That's the center shelf. Put that aside. There we go. Sanding is done. It's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough. Now, I have to drill a couple holes in this thing so we can run wires into the back, which I have forgotten to do earlier. So we are going to put a 1 3/4 inch hole in the bottom here with a Forstner bit so we can run our wires into here and have our uninterrupted power supply. There we go.
The song you've been listening to is called Lead Belly by a band called The Electric Mud. If you enjoyed it, check them out on Spotify and YouTube. They come highly recommended by me, that's for sure. They're better than good enough.
2 holes for wires. Now we stain. So here it is. We're going to let it set out in the sun for a few hours. I'm going to go get some satin clear coat for it. Give it a couple of clear coats on it and then give it to my buddy. And he'll be ready to go for his laptop table.
If you guys like my videos, go ahead and reach out to us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and the YouTubes. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and all the favorite socials, and reach out to us in the comments. We will chat back. Thanks, be well, and be good enough.